Poco Kitchen. Today we're making chicken mishotes. Vámonos! Another pre-Hispanic traditional dish. Mishotes take their name from Nahuatl. Metal, which means maguey, and xiotl, which means film or membrane. They have that name because of the way they are traditionally cooked, which is by taking the membrane of the maguey leaf to wrap up the meat, add sauce, and cook in a steamer. Because they were popular among different peoples, they have different states of origin. Estado de México, Querétaro, Tlaxcala, Puebla, Hidalgo. So you will find different variations on the peppers used to make the sauce. You will also find different meats that go in the mishotes. From hare or rabbit, lamb or sheep, pork, chicken, you name it. This is another classic dish that has a peculiar way of cooking, and I think you're gonna like it. So let's go. We're gonna start with our sauce, and for that we're gonna need 3 Guajillo peppers. All of the dry peppers that I'll be using for this sauce are de-seeded, deveined, cleaned under cold water, and dried with a paper towel. We're also gonna need 1 ancho pepper, and 1 Morita pepper. To my pan, I'm also gonna add a quarter of an onion and 3 big garlic cloves. Since we're gonna use steam to cook our meal, we need to make sure that our sauce is gonna be deep and rich in flavor. And to achieve that, we need to roast our ingredients first. The onion is gonna take some sweet notes, the garlic will become nutty and roasty, and we are going to intensify the smokiness of the peppers. Remember that when it comes to roasting dry peppers, the window between roasting and burning is really small. So have your eye on them, flip them over, and make sure to see for little bubbles and blistering on the skin. You don't want to see a lot of black because that will just make your sauce bitter. And once your senses tells you that the peppers are ready, remove them from the heat. We're gonna leave the onion and the garlic for just a little longer, and we're gonna add our spices. You can add them directly on your pan, but if you want the cleaning to be easier, you can just use a little bit of foil. For the spices, we're gonna need 1 clove, 1 teaspoon of peppercorns. If you find Mexican peppercorns, then use 5 of those. 1 teaspoon of oregano and half a teaspoon of cumin. Give them a little shake here and there, and after a couple of minutes, we're gonna be ready to remove our onion, garlic, turn off the heat, and remove your spices as well. And of course, since we're making a sauce, we need to rehydrate those roasted peppers. So we're gonna add boiling water just to cover them and let them sit for at least 10 minutes or so. After that time has gone by, we're gonna move on to our food processor. We're gonna add a quarter of a cup of apple cider vinegar or hydrated peppers. Make sure to spread them all around your cup. We're gonna use half a cup of the pepper roux. Don't forget about our roasted spices. And of course, we're gonna season with salt. Lid on and puree until smooth. And my protein of choice this time is chicken. I'm using chicken breast. I have 2 large chicken breasts that I chopped in pieces, and I'm gonna make sure that the sauce covers everything well. If you're team dark meat, then definitely go for legs and thighs. Bone in will be my choice. It would be even easier to put together. Just make sure to coat it well with the sauce. Once everything is looking well, cover it with plastic and let it sit and marinate for a couple of hours or even overnight. And to assemble the mishotes, let me show you the configuration that I have found useful. Since I can't get the authentic mishote paper, which I think is made out of the fibers of the maguey plant, I'm just going to use parchment, but I'm going to double it up. I will also be using foil just to make sure that the steam won't break the paper so I don't have any mess or any leakage of any sort. I like to fold my paper diagonally twice to make this sort of triangle shape, but leaving out the center unfolded, just so I can wrap it easier. And you'll see what I mean in a second. My meat has been marinated for a couple of hours. Like I said, you can make this ahead and leave it overnight. But sometimes we don't have time to do that or we forget. So place some of the meat right in the middle of your package. This is gonna be a portion for one person. Of course, you can make them bigger, but I like to give each person their own michote. With the meat in the middle of our paper, we're gonna proceed to the wrapping. For that, we're gonna grab the corners of our paper up and then just carefully squeeze it until your meat is at the bottom. Leave some space for the steam and for the juices. And we're gonna use some twine to tie it up. Normally, I will suggest to use kitchen twine, but I don't have any. I have this twine that I have no other use for, so I thought it would be a good moment to put it to some work. So tie it. It doesn't have to be super tight. Just make sure to keep the steam in. And now to double up, like I said before, we're gonna wrap it with the foil as well. I recommend to make the foil just big enough to cover the bottom paper. You don't need to make it this big. I will end up cutting the excess because otherwise it won't fit in my pot. So make sure that in the end, all of your michotes will fit well in your pot, whatever pot you're using. So here I'm gonna do it once more so you can see it again. To cook my michotes, I'm gonna be using my pressure cooker, but you can use a regular pot with a steaming basket. Add some water at the bottom and place your michotes on top. If you're using your pressure cooker like me, 40 to 45 minutes will do. If you're using a regular pot, then you can leave yours for an hour. And to make sure that my four michotes would fit in, I did ended up cutting the excess foil that I added. That's what I was telling you, to make the foil smaller than your parchment paper so that you can put the lid back on and everything will shut properly. And while I wait for my meat to be ready, I'll be making some fresh tortillas. And when it comes to serving, place each package on each person's plate so they have the pleasure of opening it just like if it was a little gift, which it is, of course. And this is how they look. Look at the meat, perfectly cooked and super tender. It doesn't matter which protein you choose, it's always gonna be like that. And here you have them. Like I said, there's no right or wrong when making this sauce because each state will have a different variation on it. So check them out and see which one sounds best to you. I kept my michotes simple, but you can add extra ingredients in each pack. Some people like to add vegetables like onions or raw cactus, raw nopales, and they will cook with the meat. I forgot, so I am compensating by adding my nopales on the side. There are two ingredients that are very traditional that I just couldn't get. And one is avocado leaf, which brings a nice flavor and aroma to your dish, and choconostle. Choconostle is one type of prickly pear, which is paler in color and it's not sweet. That's why it is used commonly in different salty dishes like this one. So if you are lucky, go ahead and try that for me. Let's give it a try. Of course, you can choose whatever sides for your dish, but tortillas are a must, otherwise how we're gonna eat our meat, right? So because it's been cooked in the steamer, it's gonna be so tender. There's no way of going wrong. It's really good. This dish brings me back. The first time I had it, I was in middle school. I had a friend, his name was Leo, and we would walk home together. But on Thursdays, outside our school, there was a street market with multiple things, but also food. And once he told me, have you ever had mishote? I said no. So he took me there, and each one of us had our own mishote with tortillas. And you know how hungry you get after school, so you can imagine how well it landed. So I thank him for showing me mishotes that I've never had, even though my dad had a restaurant. This wasn't one of the dishes that they would make, but I am so grateful. He also introduced me to the prequel of The Lord of the Rings, so I am thankful for that too. Anyway, mishotes are another of those dishes that carry so much tradition that it's worth passing by. So I'm very happy to be able to share it with you, and I hope you liked it. And if you did, just like this video, please share it with your friends, like, subscribe, and be notified. And for more, follow me on the socials. Adios, amigues.